Sony sheds 10,000 staff in major reorganization. Electronics firm Sony is to shed 10,000 jobs as part of a major reorganization, Chief Executive Kazuo Hirai said. The cuts, which represent 6% of global workforce, will be made over the next 12 months. The reduction includes staff working in businesses that are being sold, such as its chemical businesses. Sony has been struggling to compete in the television business with South Korea's Samsung and LG, while Apple has challenged its audio gear and phones. On Tuesday, Sony forecasted a record annual loss of $6.4 billion, double its previous estimate. Entrepreneurial spirit, Sony says it will focus the business on 3 areas: digital imaging, games consoles, and mobile devices. It hopes the changes will help to generate sales of $10.5 billion by the financial year ending in March 2015 with a profit margin of 5%. In the last financial year, Sony reported sales of $7.9 billion. We have heard a multitude of investor voices calling for a change. Sony will change, Mr. Hirai, who took over as chief executive earlier this month, said at a press conference. Sony has always been an entrepreneurial company. That spirit has not changed, he said. The reorganization will cost Sony $926 million during the current financial year. But analysts have been overwhelmed by Mr. Hirai's announcement. I, for one, was expecting more, said Phenom Smithers, who runs his own consultancy specializing in the electronic industry. This presentation has the same feel as a presentation made 3 to 4 years ago when the previous chief executive, Howard Stringer, tried to restructure. But back then, Samsung and Apple were not as powerful as they are today, he said. Sony's television business has lost money for the past 8 years. Analysts say that while it sells about 20 million TV sets a year, it's still not big enough to be profitable. To tackle that problem, Sony is reducing the number of models it makes by 40% by 2013. Rival Japanese TV maker Sharp is also forecasting hefty losses. It expects an annual loss of $4.7 billion this year. India Maoists release Italian hostage Paolo Bassusco. Italian hostage Paolo Bassusco has been freed by India's Maoist rebels after nearly a month in captivity. The exact terms of the release are not known, but on Tuesday a court freed the wife of Maoist leader Sibisachi Panda. She was one of the several jailed rebels whose release were Maoists had demanded. State legislator Gina Hikaka, who was seized on 23rd March by another group of Maoists, remains in custody. Love Orissa, after his release, Mr. Bassusco told a local television channel in state capital, Bhubaneswar, that he had been treated well by the rebels. I'm in good health. There's nothing to worry about. I love Orissa and its people, he said. Mr. Bassusco has lived in the state for over a dozen years, said he had visited the area where he has been held many times in the past. But going to there as a tourist is different from going there as a hostage, he said. Earlier, the rebels handed over Bassusco to Dandapani Mohanty, one of the mediators who brought him to Bhubaneswar. He has now been taken to a state guest house where he is meeting Italian and Indian officials. The first thing he wants to do is fly to Italy and meet his family, Mr. Mohanty told journalists. The Maoists have a strong presence in the several eastern states, including Orissa, and have been described by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh as India's biggest internal security threat. The rebels, as they are fighting for a communist state and for the right of the tribal people and the rural poor. Revered Nepal tumble in financial transparency move. One of the most revered Hindu sites in South Asia, Pashupatinath Temple in Kathmandu has started paying its priests fixed salaries. The move is part of an effort to make its finances more transparent and part of an ongoing push to modernize the ancient temple. The 5th century building, one of the banks of Bagmati River, attracts thousands of Hindu pilgrims each year. As part of the offerings to the gods, many give generous donations of cash. However, the amount of the temple makes has traditionally been kept a secret. But now the temple authorities say that all donations will be declared and that the Indian priests that work there will be given a fixed salary of around $3,000 a month. This declaration follows a push by the government to make the management of the temple more transparent. Culture Minister Gopal Kirati said the declaration of donations will help the overall development of the temple, which badly needs restoration work. The running of Pashupatinath Temple is a controversial issue in Nepal. In 2008, the Maoist government tried to halt the temple's tradition of hiring Indian priests to oversee rituals, a move that was condemned by Hindu worshippers and the Indian government. Over the past few years, there have been attempts to force the temple to open its vaults, which are believed to hold thousands of dollars worth of treasure. The latest move to bring the temple's finances into public domain is seen as a positive step towards modernizing this ancient institution. Over to Mr. Evans for the business world and other special news.
Thanks, Mr. Babu Apat. And now we'll move to the business world. US sue Apple and publishers over e-books prices. Technology giant Apple and major book publishers are being sued by the US Department of Justice over the pricing of e-books. The US accuses Apple's and Hackett's, HarperCollins, Macmillan, Simons & Schuster, and Pagem of colluding over the prices of e-books they sell. The lawsuit is over the firm's move to the agency model where publishers rather than sellers set the prices. But Hachette, HarperCollins, and Simons and Schuster have already settled. The case will proceed against Apple, Macmillan, and Pagem for conspiring to end e-books retailers' freedom to compete on prices, the Justice Department said. As a result of this alleged conspiracy, we believe that consumers paid billions of dollars more than some of the most popular titles, Attorney General Eric Holder said. Welcome to the world of science. US tops global clean energy investment rankings. The US has regained top spot from China as the biggest investor in clean energy in 2011, according to the global rankings. The table published in a report by Pew Charitable Trust showed that the US invested more than $48 billion, that is 30 billion pounds, in the sector, up from $34 billion in 2010. China slipped to the second place, the authors reported, with investments only increasing by $0.5 billion to $45.5 billion. Globally, overall financial backing in clean energy technology hit a record of $263 billion, up 6.5% from 2010 levels. The report, who is winning the clean energy race, showed that G20 nations accounted for 95% of the investments in the sector, which does not include nuclear powers. The data compiled by Bloomberg New Energy Finance ranked the UK as the 7th in the world with $9.4 billion of investments in 2011. Over the course of the year, an additional 83.5 gigawatts was added to the world clean energy generation capacity, including almost 30 gigawatts of solar and 43 gigawatts of wind. And in sports, Pollard Powers takes Mumbai home. Awaz Shah, 76 of 42 balls, showed that balance and placements can be effective in taking T20 matches to the wire as Kiran Pollard tied brutally and bootless at the crease. Lasith Malinga speared Rajasthan Royals' hopes with a 2-wicket burst in the 15th over, including the prized wicket of Shah as the visiting team slipped to 170 all out in the DLF IPL 2012. Pollard tamed lower order batsman with gale of 4 of 44 as Mumbai Indians trod to the strength of his all-round show to defend 197 and record third win in 4 matches by 27 runs saved and 2 balls to spare. Shah teamed up with Rahel, 40 of 21 balls in the third wicket and notable of finesse and placement, taking charge after Rahul David fell for the bat for Munaf Patel. The England batsman left audience impressed with stylish batting on the offside, mixed with pulls and swats on the leg side.
And before we end today's bulletin of news analysis, let's have a recap of the main points. Syria's ceasefire comes into effect under Annan Plan. Indian Ocean tsunami alert lifted after Asa quake. David Cameron issues warning in Indonesia over extremism. New titles for North Korea leader. Sony sheds 10,000 staff in major reorganization. Revered Nepal temple in financial transparency move. And there we end today's bulletin of news analysis. Visual greetings from Events and me. Thank you.